So it's been heavily reported that the Los Angeles Lakers will go ahead and fire Frank Vogel, and they've been throwing out potential replacements such as Quinn Snyder, who is the head coach for the Utah Jazz. Some even said Mark Jackson, Phil Jackson, uh, Paris Jackson, Michael Jackson, Tito Jackson, the entire Jackson Five, could potentially coach the Lakers next year. We don't know. So there's also been reports that players were texting. They didn't respect Frank Vogel at all. They had none. No respect for Frank Vogel. Like, treated him like a floor mat. And they said that players were texting their girlfriends and, making Twitter posts, making Instagram posts on the bench while Frank Vogel was the head coach. Now, I knew that they didn't have any respect for Frank Vogel because those of you who watch my channel faithfully understand that I've mentioned quite a few times where Frank Vogel, there'll be a huddle and you'll hear Russell Westbrook over talking the coach. Now, to me, you may not see that LeBron James is a lot more discreet in his approach. So this is something that may happen in practice. But LeBron James is not going to display that because then what? The media will run wild with it. So he's going to be a lot more discreet. He's going to do it in practice when the cameras aren't on, pretty much. But Russell Westbrook is the type that whatever he does in the dark, he's going to do it in the light. He doesn't care, right? He's open about the things that he do. He's not passive. He's straightforward, and he's going to do it publicly. So Russell Westbrook was over talking his coach, which was the ultimate disrespect. So they didn't have no respect for Frank Vogel. And it's poor leadership on LeBron James' end, because once they see you disrespect the coach, once everybody else, they follow the leader. Many people have a sheep's mentality. So if they see you disrespecting Frank Vogel, then they're going to fall in line and they're going to disrespect Frank Vogel. And when you're Frank Vogel and people don't have no respect for you, then if you're not setting the tone and letting people know that they're going to respect you, you're not commanding and demanding respect, then everybody else going to just feel like they could just walk over top of you and just say what they want to you, right? So who do I think would be the perfect replacement for the Lakers? They say Phil Jackson. They say that Mark Jackson could be the coach. They say that Deshaun Jackson could be the coach. All the Jacksons, Lamar Jackson, Janet Jackson could come back and pull her top down next year. She may pull off a Super Bowl in the finals, okay? But I think the perfect replacement for the Lakers is LeBron James. Would be none other than LeBron James. But of course, LeBron James isn't going to take on that task. Why? Because then if it goes wrong, he will get 1,000% of the blame. He will get criticized. See, LeBron James probably wouldn't even want to be a GM. He would probably want a GM in that place. He would like to hide his hands. He would like to do the dirt, put the soldiers on the front line, but be able to hide his hand for all the decision making. So this is why you have Rich Paul as the head of Klutch Sports. And a lot of people seem to believe that that LeBron James isn't the reason, the cause for none of the Lakers' problems, none of the Lakers' issues. As Charles Barkley went on records and stated yesterday, he said that Frank Vogel and Russell Westbrook have been used as scapegoats. They have been. But majority of the blame they feel should go towards Rob Pelinka, because they say that, oh, well, Rob Pelinka, you as the GM, you shouldn't have allowed LeBron James to have the power. You shouldn't have allowed LeBron James to have a lot of say and, have a lot of input in the decision making. But everywhere LeBron James has gone, if he doesn't have a hand in the decision making, then he end up leaving. So you might as well say, well, you're better off just saying, well, the Lakers should trade LeBron James. Because if he doesn't have any input, he wants to leave. And you're going to get the exact same result that you're getting now the next season and the season after that. You have some people saying that the Lakers should have just traded Russell Westbrook for John Wall. Now, if that's the case, you should praise Rob Pelinka, because why? Rob Pelinka didn't listen to LeBron James' demands, because it was reported that Rich Paul and Klutch Sports, they were pushing and they wanted for the Lakers to trade the first pick, the 2027 first round pick, and Russell Westbrook for John Wall, which would have put us in a position where we would have been where we are now. It just, they would have been blaming John Wall instead. And blaming who? Rob Pelinka. So it makes no sense what you're saying. Because even if Rob Pelinka would have traded for Buddy Hield, they would have been blaming Buddy Hield. And then they would have said, well, they should have listened to LeBron James and just traded for Russell Westbrook. So the best decision, which is the smart decision, is to just allow LeBron James to be the coach. Let LeBron James be the coach. But he wants to hide his hands. Is LeBron James the best fit? No, he wouldn't be a great coach. But he's going to have the final say. He's the one who has, he's the one who's the most vocal. And when it all goes wrong, it could be on LeBron James. So, in my opinion, I think that the Lakers should just go ahead and announce that LeBron James is going to be the head coach. That's what they should do. I don't think, even if you put in Quinn Snyder, he's not going to bring the same success that he's having with the Utah Jazz. He's not going to be able to carry that over to the Lakers. Because what a lot of bronsexuals don't understand, they don't understand the science behind basketball. They have they don't understand the concept of basketball. They've never played basketball before. Nick Wright, you have a football player in Shannon Sharpe on national television breaking down basketball. These are people who probably never touched a basketball a day in their life. They just think you could put pieces together and you'll create a super team and it should just work. But there are certain players that have to play their roles. Tristan Thompson was a great rebounder. He's not a great player that's going to go out and, put up these crazy numbers, these insane numbers. He's a great rebounder. He does the dirty work. Then you have J.R. Smith. He's a 3-and-D player. Amon Shumpert, a 3-and-D player. And then you have Amon Shumpert, a 3-and-D player. Kyle Korver, a great three-point shooter. Everybody has a role. Kyrie Irving, a superstar. So LeBron James is surrounded by these great players, but then he's also surrounded by really good role players. But when LeBron James becomes LeBron James and you play the LeBron James system, then what happens? Then the offense becomes stagnant. The shooters start to lose a rhythm. But the casual fans, you have casual Laker fans. They're not diehard Laker fans. They're casual Laker fans as well. They're just like the bronsexuals. They don't understand basketball. They just think that you need a star here. You need a star. You need a star. Lakers need a star. They need this. They need that. No, they don't. Trade LeBron James for any asset that you can get. Whether you have to trade him to one of the worst teams to get draft picks. Get draft picks for LeBron. Get draft picks. Trade Anthony Davis. Then trade Russell Westbrook. Let LeBron James surpass Kareem. Trade LeBron James. And then you build with the pieces that you have. Bring Wayne Gabriel, whatever his name is, Wayne Gabriel, bring him back. Great energy guy. He give you quality minutes. Austin Reeves, who I told you guys was a great player before. He's going to blossom into becoming a great player. Malik Monk. Resign Malik Monk. Bring back THT. All these players that you can use to have like your foundation and build around that. Build. And many people, oh, the Lakers were trash before LeBron James came. He brought you a title. And they're trash now. They're trash now with LeBron James. They're back to where they were when LeBron first came to the Lakers. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, they say the same thing about the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers aren't going to be a great team once LeBron James leaves. Look at them now. They suck. They trash. They 0-6. They didn't win. They can't win. And then look at them now. Great team without LeBron. It took years to build because they don't understand basketball. But the best hire for the Lakers would be to just allow LeBron James to pull a Bill Russell. Since he's like Bill Russell, he's been to 10 straight finals, even though Bill Russell won most of the finals that he was in. But what the Lakers should do is just allow LeBron James to be the coach. He's the best hire. Because when it all goes wrong, LeBron James, you had the control of the roster. Just let it be what it is. Let him have control of the roster. This is last year. Let him go out with a shebang. Let him be the head coach. Fire Rob Pelinka. Let LeBron James be the official GM. Tell Rob Pelinka to step down. And let LeBron James and Klutch Sports have control over the total roster. Just let him go ahead for a year. He got a year to do it. A year. And then when it all goes wrong, then everybody can see that the problem is who it was, LeBron James.